How many times do you lose a casserole in that garage before you stop putting the casseroles in the garage?
Is he about to do something extremely crazy?
Oh, sorry about that.
Welcome to Unethical Podcast.
At just 12, these two girls nearly took another classmate's life.
Heaven, a fellow passenger on a Greyhound bus may suddenly walking the streets of Winnipeg unscrupulous. The decision is causing concern. Vincent is schizophrenic and was found not criminally responsible.
Boom, let's hit it.
Awesome. Recording progress. Hey,
It's been a
Celeste.
while. Been a while since it's been just you and me. I think the old mind-splaining episode might have been the last one.
Was it mind-splaining? I was thinking it was Picton, but we did mind-splaining after that, eh?
Oh, we did Picton like 2
early.
years ago, probably, because we did it on Patreon first.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, it's been just me and you. It has been me and you in a while. But like, Bo might show up. She might just pop in. We were talking about that. She said she might pop in, so that might happen. So it might not just be us.
Well, we'll know when she does. Bo's the kind of person that really explodes in, so.
Oh gosh.
And I mean that in the most complimentary way.
Oh,
And I
God.
think you all know exactly what I mean.
Yeah, she really blows into a room. My friend's obsessed with Bo. She's
Which
like,
friend?
My friend Emily. She said she wanted to meet Bo very much. And he said, well, come be a guest. And she said, I don't know, I think I'd cry. So Bo has some fans. That's all.
Aw. How often do you see this Emily?
Often enough, I guess. Not like every day. I used to. She used to work with me, but now she works at the hospital.
Oh.
She's friends with my wife more than me.
Oh, but you're like good friends.
Friends enough, yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah. So she's gonna be tickled pink to hear her name be spoken at the beginning of the episode. So hello, Emily
What's her last name?
Hodgins.
What's her birthday?
What's her birthday?
Mhm. What's her birthday?
I don't know.
Wow,
Good
good
question.
friends, huh? Huh?
I don't even know anybody's birthday. My birthday's Remembrance Day. It's hard for me to remember anybody else's.
You know what? Now I can't say, well, I know your birthday because you can't actually fact check me because you just fucking said it out loud, but I do know your birthday for the record.
I only know my kids because they're June 10th and October 6th. So it's 10-6 and 6-10. It's really easy.
Jax is exactly 1 month after mine, so it's also really easy.
There you go.
Emily, huh? What'd you say her last name was? Hodgins?
Hodgins, yeah.
I'm going to try and figure out when her birthday is and have Bo record her a super special birthday message.
That would be very nice. And she's obsessed with Bo.
I think that she will like that.
Okay, so this one's happening on Thanksgiving 2012.
That holiday went unnoticed in my household.
I have nothing to be thankful for, she says.
I have things to be thankful for. I have a beautiful child that won't stop cutting his hair, so I keep having to shave his head, and then his little fucking hairs get all over the floor, and then I step on them and get hair splinters, so I need fucking pedicures every month now.
That sounds like you're thankful for all those things.
So I'm really thankful for that.
That's cool.
I have a really
Today-
polite dog that won't stop humping other dogs at the dog park and making it so I can't make any friends.
Did somebody not teach you what thankfulness means? That's complaining. What you do?
Oh, I found a gray hair this morning. I'm thankful for that. I'm 30 goddamn years old and I got my first gray hair and I had a spiral and that was good.
Welcome to being old. Pretty soon you're gonna be like an old bag with like just cats and sitting on a porch throwing cats at people.
I've got everything going except the old already.
That's good. You have a porch?
I suppose it's probably not a good idea to throw cats at people off my balcony.
I was gonna say you live in a fucking building. You're just cat bombing people. Cat
From the
torpedo.
10th floor, yeah, that'd be problematic of me.
Oh, that's cool. Well, this episode happens on American Thanksgiving, which isn't is Thanksgiving. We just stole Thanksgiving from Americans, right? Like that's not a real thing that we had. We just said, nah, we have it now.
I don't think so, or wouldn't it be on the same day?
I guess so. I just feel like we didn't have the whole like I don't even know the story of Thanksgiving. I'm gonna look that up. I just feel like it's like pilgrims and native people shaking hands, and then they just give them cholera blankets or whatever and smallpox blankets.
You were really counting on there being more people here today, hey? When you were like, I'm going to start this episode by asking a question that I actually don't know the answer to, and then just hope one out of the 4 people have an answer, but it's just me and I don't know shit about fuck.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Okay, sorry.
But, no, I just, this is happening on American Thanksgiving. I just feel like I should know more. I just assumed it was a ripoff. We just stole that one from America, but maybe not.
I mean, as much as we stole our Independence Day, I guess.
I guess so.
I assume it's historically significant, but we can Google that later.
Yeah, we'll look it up. Let's talk about a guy named Byron Smith. November 22nd, 2012.
Isn't that when the world was supposed to end?
2012, yeah, for sure.
Wasn't it November?
I feel like around then, yeah. The Mayan calendar thing was November. I think you're right. This doesn't really factor into it. Well, it kind of does.
Maybe it does.
Well, somebody's world ended. A couple people's world ended. The Mayan calendar worked for them.
It was December 21st, 2012.
Okay.
So
it was a
1 month.
Yeah.
So they checked out early.
They got ripped off. Okay, listen to this.
And the date is 11/23/2012. The time right now is 14:59 hours. I'm currently in the interview room at the Morrison County Sheriff's Office, and currently present with me is Byron David Smith.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I really had to play that clip because he's so excited to be interrogated by the police that he says his name, but at the same time as the cop. This is another good clip.
You had currently been placed under arrest, Byron, today while out at your residence. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. And before I ask you any questions in regards to the reason that led up to why you were placed under arrest was explained to you at the scene. Is that correct?
Because there were bodies, and that's a good reason.
Yeah, because there was bodies, and this is a great reason. You're not wrong, Byron.
One of the best reasons. Yep.
Yeah. So before I tell you guys what he did, I'll let you know a little bit of background on this guy. So Byron David Smith, born June 11th, 1948 in Little Falls, Minnesota. That's why you can hear their nice accents. They're like so polite and Minnesota sounding, Midwest sounding.
Okay. All right. It's been a while since we've given Minnesota recognition on this show.
That's true. We
recognize you, Minnesota.
This one, yeah, we see you. Little Falls is a little town. It's a population 8,000 people. Probably double the size of my town, but still a small town. I get that. Little Falls is one of the oldest cities in Minnesota, being established in 1848. And Smith grew up there with his parents and his brother.
How long have you lived at your residence there?
I have been physically resident since March 2009. However, it has been my home of record since the house was built in September of '66.
Okay. So you've had that place for quite a long time then,
Yeah.
correct? Okay.
It has always been my home,
Mm-hmm.
and before that we lived on the west side.
Okay. Do you live at the residence with anybody, or do you live by yourself?
I am by myself. My mother passed away 3 years ago.
So Byron was an Eagle Scout, and later in his life, he devoted a lot of time to the Scouts. He's a smart kid. He graduated second in his class in 1966. Then he went on to the University of Minnesota for a couple of years until he joined the Air Force in 1968. During the Vietnam War, he flew B-52 bombers, which is kind of a crazy, cool, man. While in the military, he got educated in electrical engineering, and he was a decorated officer. He had many medals. And when he got out of the service, he went and got a job at Hughes Aerospace in California. And he finishes his engineering degree at California Polytechnic University, or as every cool podcaster or anybody who I've ever heard say this university's name, at Cal Poly. He went to Cal Poly, which apparently is the cool way to say that.
It is?
I don't know. Everybody calls it Cal Poly. I'm like, what is a Cal Poly? Like, anyways.
Anytime I hear the word Polytechnic, I think of that mass shooting in Montreal.
Oh, good. True crime has ruined us. He got a job after that working for the U.S. State Department as a technical security engineer. So for basically 16 years, he says 20, but fact checking that, he said for 16 years, Byron's job sent him all over the world. So he basically wasn't in the US or in Little Falls for most of his adult life, honestly.
I feel like polytechnic is like irrelevant, don't you think? Like, are there any monotechnic institutions?
Yeah, I think you just want to sound cool. Like, it is a cool word to say, you know what I mean?
Well, I assume the implication is that it teaches multiple, fields or whatever, multiple specialties, but there aren't any that teach like, I guess like maybe a barber shop would be monotechnic or
Yeah,
a barber
or
school because
yeah,
all
like-
they teach you is barbering.
I guess so. Like, I was trying to think of any, like maybe mechanic school or something, but even then they teach you like a bunch of different. Yeah, there's only one haircut. Not one
Yeah, I
haircut,
feel
but-
like mechanics would be very poly.
yeah, for sure. Most mechanics are poly.
Yeah. It's very trendy right now to be poly.
I know it is. Ooh, I got stories. Okay.
I thought you said I got sores and I was like, oh,
I got sores.
really? The open kind?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
They're
I completely got
polysaurus.
distracted. The Polysaurus Rex, I gotcha.
So being a security engineer involved him setting up security systems and monitoring security systems and installing security systems at different US embassies.
Oh, that's what I do, except just for people who don't know how to spend their money correctly.
Yeah, his job was to protect them from like terrorists and espionage. You're protecting from like the crackhead who might come in to see it. Same thing, kind of, you know?
The only specific story I can remember when somebody told me why they wanted security was because their son-in-law kept breaking into their garage and stealing their casseroles. So that's the kind of security systems I'm working with.
You're protecting the casseroles. I like that.
I'm protecting some lady's casseroles from her son-in-law.
That was for the
Just
new
let him have the
neighbor.
casseroles. Like, he's going through a tough time if he needs to steal your garage casseroles, lady.
That and like how many times do you lose a casserole in that garage before you stop putting the casseroles in the garage?
Where her deep freeze was. She can't move the deep freeze, Richard. Like, what are you gonna do? Are the police gonna show up and arrest him for stealing your casseroles? Is that what you want?
Stop making stop making great casseroles. Start making shitty casseroles so they stop coming back.
Yeah, put like dog food in them or something. Dog food and laxative.
Oh, gross. So yeah, he worked in 40 different countries, places like Cairo, Moscow, South Africa, all over. You know what? I'll just let you tell him. I'll let him tell you where he worked.
I spent 20 years overseas.
Why is he whispering?
A couple years in Bangkok. Several years in Cairo. Several years in nasty sub-Saharan Africa.
Ooh, racist.
3 years in Moscow. 3 years in Beijing.
He's such an intense man. The more we're listening to him, the more you're gonna shake your head at Mr. Smith.
I can't tell if he's winded or whispering or...
He's telling an intense story. I'm just taking clips that are funny to me, but we'll get more of the story as we go, and you'll understand why he's like fluctuating his narrative. Like he's being like hyperactive at some points, very quiet at others. It's just
Is this man autistic?
No, I don't know. Honestly, he lived by himself. I don't think so because he like. Let's put it this way. This guy's not a master criminal or anything, so I don't know how smart he is, but he definitely had a job with the U.S. State Department. I don't think they're hiring the autistic guys. Like, maybe. I don't know. You know what I mean?
A lot of autistic people are actually highly intelligent, and their autism makes it so that they can really master their levels of or their fields of interest with their intelligence.
Yeah, I'm talking more like you got to like work with people, like lots of people.
To install security systems?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's a giant embassy. That's not like someone's fucking house. There's many upon many people that are setting those fuckers up for sure and maintaining them. There's a whole control room. They probably have like a whole wall full of screens and people like directing what's going on all day long.
Well, he's some kind of neurodivergent.
He lived by himself. I'm sure there's something. I don't. That's what I'm saying. Maybe. Who knows? All I'm saying is he would have been vetted by the government. He's not a crazy fucking criminal by any means. He has high level security with the State Department, vetted by the government for sure, trusted not to be a crazy dude. I know that doesn't mean everything all the time. What I'm just trying to say is he's not like when he was a kid.
Is he about to do something extremely crazy?
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh,
okay.
for sure. I just want
listen, I want to preface this by saying he's not crazy.
Well, I don't think he's crazy per se. I'm just saying that he doesn't have like he's not like a murderer. We cover a lot of people in this. It's different. This guy's like a American hero. He's like a guy who did a lot of stuff that was
with
good.
bodies.
You know, like stuff that we would consider good, whether being in a B-52 bomber in Vietnam and killing like little kids, dropping bombs is good. I don't know, but it's not like he was fucking pissing his bed every night and fucking killing local dogs. Like it's not.
You don't know that he lived alone.
That's true. As a child, he had parents. He lived with his mom until like 3 years prior.
Oh yeah, because that's what they're gonna say. That's what they're gonna say about their little boy.
You could be right. So he retired in 2009, returns to live in the house he grew up in. The house is a small brick house with a 2-door garage attached. It's kind of secluded, and he had 10 acres of wooded land surrounding him. There are neighbors.
He was definitely killing dogs. You're wrong.
There's neighbors. They're far away neighbors. You know, you live at the end of a long driveway, but you still have neighbors around, but they're not like
long enough to hear the dog barking, enough to want to kill it. I get you.
He didn't kill any dogs. Maybe he did. I don't know. I can't say that for sure. I can't say that for sure. You're right. So this story happens in 2012, and he is 64 years old at the time. He was described as a loner, so I will give you that. He has that weirdness to him, neurodivergentness to him. Never married, no kids. It's not like he had nobody, though. I know he said it was a loner, but like he had a really good neighbor friend named William Anderson or Bill.
Yeah, I bet they bonded when his neighbor was looking for his dog.
There's a part in here that's going to make him look so autistic too, and I didn't even think of it. Okay. I'm thinking of it now, so I will point it out, but I didn't think of it when I was putting these clips together. So during 2012, there had been a rash of home robberies in his and Bill's neighborhood. There was a lady up the street who got her prescription meds stolen from her house. There was some guy who got his car broken into. Byron and Bill used to talk about the break-ins all the time.
You initially told Bill that somebody broke into your house, is that correct?
Oh, Bill knew that somebody broke into my house, yes. He knew that there was a sequence going. He didn't know that it had happened again.
So there's a break-in down the road. There's break-in in his house. So a few weeks prior to the incident on October 27th, 2012, Byron's garage had been robbed and a bunch of stuff had been stolen. This one, he made a police report. He called the police. Like, they kicked in the door to the garage, the panel of the door. I don't know. He claims there had been more break-ins at his house, and he reported them all. One of them was in writing. He didn't actually call the police. He, like, sent a letter to the police, but he made a report about it. Police say there's only one report, and that was from the October 27th incident. Some of the things that were stolen was $4,000 in cash, his father's POW watch, coins from a collection, some of his rare military uniforms, and a chainsaw. Smith claims that in total, over all the robberies, that's just some of the stuff. So over all the robberies, $40,000 worth of cash and property had been stolen from him in the past year or so.
So you've actually been having problems with people breaking into your house, is that correct?
The same people, the same pattern. It goes back a long time.
Okay. When did that start? When did it start where people
First
were
time it
breaking into your
happened
house?
was, I'm guessing, 12 to 15 years ago, and there was a sheriff's report on it when they broke in.
Yeah, he says 12 to 16 years ago. He means 12 to whatever weeks ago. He doesn't mean years, because he would be in fucking Bangkok. He just misspoke.
Broke into the garage and tore up a bunch of packing cases, threw glassware on the floor to break it, and stole a bunch of clothing.
Okay.
Now, I try to not be sexist, but when somebody steals clothing and ignores the tools, I tend to think it's a woman.
Okay. What kind of clothing did they take? You remember that time? Was it women's clothes or men's clothes? Something different?
Military clothes, the kind of unisex.
Kind of unisex.
Of course they are when you're being sexist.
I love when people do that. I'm not trying to be sexist, but say something sexist. Like, he's just completely sexist. Good for you.
I feel like women probably wouldn't know the value of military uniforms to collectors. I feel like men would know that. I don't want to be sexist.
Yeah, but I mean, I think you'll see. He's more saying that she took him to wear because she thought they were cool.
First of all, no. Second of all, why would she break all the glassware? Women love glassware.
That's true. Although I would love to keep the women do love that. I'm a man, so I should have. Why would a woman want that? Anyway, so police did what they usually do with break-ins, which is take a report and promise to keep their eyes open, because you can't really do much until you catch someone in the act or you start patrolling the area.
Well, it's pretty easy. Just draw a sketch of a woman in a military costume and you got your fucking man. Sorry, uniform. There are so many veterans out there who immediately just got so fucking triggered as soon as I said that.
Yeah.
Sorry, military uniform. I am sorry.
Military uniform. Did you say costume? Is that I missed it?
I did. I
Oh
said
God,
costume.
are you trying to get me killed? I called a military person a dink once. I almost died. All
Wait,
right.
stop bringing it up.
I got it. I can't. It's traumatized me. All right. Bill and Bill and Byron spoke with each other regularly about the robberies, and Bill noticed that Byron was quite upset about the whole thing. Bill was upset too, but Bill knew it was bothering Byron a lot. He knew that because Byron started to carry his 22 caliber 9-shot pistol on his person at all times while at home. He was scared someone was going to break in just while he's there at home, so he need to be prepared. So Bill and Byron had theories as to who the robbers were, but nothing concrete. Smith suspected that it was one of his other neighbor's kids that had been breaking in, a girl named Ashley Williams.
How do you know this Ashley Williams?
I've never met her,
Okay.
except maybe now and then it's not sure, but I've never met her.
Okay.
Byron claims Ashley was seen wearing the military coat around school.
Ashley Williams was seen wearing my Flightline military jacket from the Air Force to school.
It was from his years in Vietnam, and it's pretty recognizable. It was rare because it was like different than what uniforms look like now. You got me thinking of, did I just say costume? It's not the way uniforms used to be like they are now, where you like get like a patch and you put on, like apparently they sewed in your chevrons or whatever. He was like very passionate about this fucking uniform, which good for him. You know, the fact that he said someone had seen her in that, it had to be in his opinion. Now, he didn't know for sure if anyone had actually seen it. Bill heard someone else say that someone saw her in it. So it's like triple hearsay by the time Byron gets the information.
Sorry, what year was this?
2012.
You know what I had in 2012? A lot of those military style jackets. They were very in fashion then.
Yeah. Well, I imagine. That's what I'm saying. She took it to wear it, if she took it at all.
No, I'm more saying that she probably got it at fucking where did people shop in 2012? H&M, Hot Topic.
Hot Topic, or like even like a military
Aritzia.
surplus. Those things are like popular with people sometimes, you know, like surplus
Old
stores.
Navy.
Old Navy has a military wing, and they must be selling military stuff.
Old Navy sells everything tacky.
That's true.
I'm just saying it probably wasn't legit. It was probably just some fucking
For sure.
fashion
I don't
thing.
think this girl knew anything at all about Byron ever. I don't think she ever took any type of notice to him at all. He was noticing
Was
her,
she
though.
a kid? He's blaming a kid for this?
Ashley's the daughter of his closest neighbor. So yes, closest geographically, I mean. She lived at the end of his yard, and he hated that whole family.
So is Ashley Williams a neighbor of yours? Your guys's?
My closest neighbor.
Okay. So she lives, what, right next door?
At the end of my rather large yard.
Rather Lantern.
Okay.
So yes, they are my closest neighbor.
Okay. Do you know Ashley's parents at all?
I have tried very hard to avoid them.
Okay.
They're nasty people.
Okay. You've never gotten along with them?
I have avoided not getting along with them.
Mm. Okay.
They have misused and abused too many other people I know for me to have anything to do with them. I limit myself to being polite.
Okay.
You know, if I see them by the mailbox, I'll say good morning.
Mhm.
I've never intentionally talked with them about anything, except last year. The spruce in the neighborhood have a fungus disease. And I went to the door and gave them Xerox copy of how to identify it and how to treat it.
That's the part I said autism.
Just because getting rid of an infection in the neighborhood's a good thing. There was no social interaction. They took the paper and shut the door.
Okay. Okay.
But
And this Ashley, do you know where she's still currently living at home with her parents?
she's in and out a lot.
Okay. So you've seen her there recently?
I haven't seen her. I know what her car looks like.
This is just, this is the setting for this entire thing. Yes.
Is this a white family?
Very white. Small town Minnesota, very, very white. So yeah, so Ashley, sorry, I'm gonna give you a little, this is kind of the setup of Byron. This is his mindset, okay? People breaking into his house all the time. He's fed up with it, he's carrying a gun, and then bitching about it with all his friends. has a suspect, knows what they drive, right? So
Right.
let's move to Thanksgiving 2012. So the night this happens, November
At last.
22nd. Byron decides he's going to stay home and read. Now, I'm sure Bill invited him over to celebrate, but Byron literally says he doesn't like to be in social situations at somebody else's house. He feels out of place. So he stayed home, strapped in, and read a book. So what about
He's autistic.
yeah, but he was out about earlier in the day visiting. I'm guessing Bill. I'm not sure. So at about 11 a.m., Byron sees a girl driving up the street near his house. So he's at Bill's house, and he leaves. He goes, I gotta go take care of that, and goes home. He thinks this woman's scoping out his house. So Byron goes home, drives his truck.
Ashley.
He gets into his truck. He takes his truck and he drives it up to Bill's house or even further, parks it there to make it look like no one's home, gets out of his truck, goes back to his house. Smith says all the past robberies all happened during the day when he wasn't home, when he was out at the market or whatever, doing other things. So the burglars must have been casing out his home, waiting for him to leave. So moving his truck was like the way to bait the burglars into his house. After the first couple things, he gets his security system installed. After he actually got some guns stolen. So after his guns got stolen the last time when he kicked in the door, he got a security system installed, just like cameras facing outside of all of his doors. He had 4 cameras set up. They managed to check out the outside of the house. You can look at the footage from this evening. You'll see it's not really that interesting. So I'm just telling you it exists. You can go look at it. I'm not going to bring it up or anything. It's there. So Byron also, when he did this, he got a tape recorder set up in his house. He taped himself. So just in case anything happened, he would have an audio recording of this. Okay. So he'd been doing this for weeks, ever since his house was broken into and lost his guns. When he set up that, he's every day, full blown, just tape recorder, play. So Byron heads to his basement, unscrews the light bulbs in his basement, and sets up a chair at the bottom of his basement stairs.
What kind of Home Alone shit is this?
He gets a second gun, not the one he has around his waist, Mini 14 Ruger pistol, lays it beside him, and continues to read his book.
Guess they missed that one when they stole his guns, eh?
Yeah. Well, no, he actually replaced them. He went and bought new guns. Then Byron, he was right. Someone was trying to break into his house. He starts hearing someone jimmying at the handle of the door, trying to get in. A couple of minutes later, here's a window break. And this is how I'm going to let Byron describe what happened first, and then I'll tell you what happened. Okay. So this is how Byron describes what happens to the detective. This is the longest clip we have, but it's necessary so you can understand him.
I'm ready.
I had not gone to anyone for Thanksgiving. I am somewhat uncomfortable with other people's family holidays. Some people enjoy it and it helps them feel home-like. I feel like a little out of place. It's not the kind of social thing I do.
Okay.
So I was staying at home, and just because there wasn't anything big happening, I was in the basement in my favorite reading chair reading a paperback.
Sorry, what? Pause?
Was this on Thanksgiving?
What's the question?
Didn't he specifically leave another function to come and do this?
This is what he's telling the police. I'm just letting him describe it too, because I kind of I buried the lead a little bit. He doesn't really tell the cops he took the car and drove it up the road, and he doesn't really tell the cops he unscrewed the fucking light bulbs to his house so no one would think he's home.
So right off the bat, we know he's lying to the police. Cool.
For sure.
Yeah, this
Okay.
was this would have been about 12 o'clock. The exact time on the videotape. I mean, on the DVR.
So, I'm sorry, 12 o'clock noon on
Yes.
Thanksgiving Day, which was
Yesterday.
yesterday, correct? Okay, on Thursday.
Mhm.
Okay.
So the house is a very quiet house. It's got electric heat, and it's a very quiet house. And I hear someone rattling the upstairs door by the garage where everybody comes and goes. This is wrong. You shouldn't be rattling doorknobs without at least ringing the doorbell first. So I set down the book and I'm paying attention. And the chair is between the bookshelves. And I see a shadow go past the...
Sorry, did you notice that pause? The reason I kept the pause in is because, like, you can feel how he's trying to lie right now. You can feel him, like,
And
omitting.
he's desperately reaching for strings.
He's
yeah.
omitting information because he knows it's going to get him in trouble, right?
And I see a shadow go past the picture window. Then somebody's rattling the basement door trying to get in. But it also is locked and deadbolted. And then I see the shadow in front of the picture window for maybe half a minute or a minute, like they're trying to see what they can see inside. Okay, this is getting unhappy. And then the shadow leaves, and I hear somebody walking across the deck. It's got the wooden planks, so you can hear people walk on it. And then somebody was rattling the upstairs door. And I'm getting seriously stressed because somebody wants in, and they're trying to sneak in, and it's happened before.
You're fucking armed, dude. Just go open the door and ask what the fuck they want.
That's a very good point. And you can see these people walking around in the video that exists. It's just not that dramatic. You can see them. So he's not lying about that. They are trying to get into his house. You can see it. But literally what you said, yeah, go walk up and say hi. Not that hard.
Like, you're armed. Just walk up and be like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? What the fuck do you want? They're not going to come back.
So, I'm sitting there hoping they go away. It's about a minute of silence, and I hear a glass window broken, which I later found to be the northwest corner bedroom window.
Okay. Where were you at the time in the house when you heard that?
I was sitting in the same chair.
In the basement?
In the basement.
Okay.
I consider it my reading chair.
Right. At the base of the stairs.
That chair,
in the
is
dark.
that the
where I do
one
all my
that's
reading, too.
right off from the steps, the bottom steps?
Yeah.
Or, okay. What color is that chair?
It's a reddish brown.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
And one wing arm is broken, but I don't use the wing arms. So.
Okay.
Anyway, so I'm sitting in the chair. Now, for the past month, my life has been very unhappy. I haven't slept very well. In fact, I'm lucky to get one good night of sleep a month. And I'm keeping everything locked up all the time because I'm being victimized again and again and again. And in the past couple of weeks, I've gotten into the habit of carrying my guns with me inside my house because I don't know who's going to break in when. Well, it just happened. So I'm sitting there, and I hear the steps come down the hallway, turn around, and come down the stairs. These are people who have stolen my guns. I figure they're willing to use guns if they steal guns.
Right.
And I decide that I've got a choice of either shooting or being shot.
Sure, yeah.
Which is sort of what I came to when I started carrying it with me. Now, I've been, this past month I felt very threatened.
Okay.
Inside my own home. And the guy came down the stairs and I shot him.
What?
Okay.
He said the guy came down my stairs and I shot him.
Oh, I thought he said he came down the stairs. I was like, he's in the basement. How many fucking levels do you have?
No, the guy came down.
When they, you said you heard the window break upstairs, correct? You were downstairs. You heard footsteps down the hallway, right?
Yep.
So that would be from the bedroom, and then whoever. Do you think somebody entered in your house through that broken window?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, that's how they made
Because it was
entry.
easier than the deadbolted doors.
Okay.
And I replaced the panel that had been easy to kick out.
Okay.
So he just decided to break a window instead.
How many footsteps did you hear? Did it sound like one person, two people?
It was definitely one person.
Okay.
Definitely one person.
Okay.
And after I shot him, I sat down in this chair and I was just tingling. Adrenaline. I hate adrenaline. And my blood was pounding in my ears, and I just wanted to calm down more than anything else. And maybe, it's hard to judge the time, 2 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, I was just sitting there with the blood pounding in my ears. And I hear more footsteps coming down the hallway. And somebody else starts down the stairs. And thinking back on it, what happened was, everybody has red buttons. Everybody has sore spots. And I've known since grade school that being ganged up on is a sore spot with me.
Okay.
I just couldn't think. I didn't think. I wasn't thinking. I was just
The other girl comes down, shoots her too. He doesn't really get into it as easily as that. Like I could have. We'll play more clips, but yes, that's what happens. So if that's the real story, okay, that seems like someone's traumatizing him, and he's got to defend himself. They got guns. They're coming in, breaking into his house. He's got to shoot him down. Right? Kind of.
Like I don't know, man. I feel like it doesn't make sense that somebody would come follow the sound of a gunshot.
These are little guns. The gun that he has is they call it like a critter killer or whatever. It's just for like squirrels and shit like that. But like at close range, it's not going to be a loud gun. Is my point. It's not going to be a super loud. He's in a basement. They're out in the car waiting for him to come. They probably didn't even hear the gunshot. Honestly, they actually didn't hear. I know they didn't hear the gunshot. So Byron's recording the whole thing too, right? Remember this. He's got audio of this entire thing
and video of the outside of the house.
The outside video outside, but just
so
audio.
Everything outside of the house they can confirm.
Kind of, but at a certain point, one of the people see one of the cameras and they kind of knock it to the side. So you miss the breaking of the window. You miss, like, it's not that fantastic, the video. You just see a guy walking around the house a couple times trying to jimmy open some doors. That's about it. And I tried to look for it. Apparently you can see like the car driving by his house, like stalking his house, but it's so far in the distance. Like, I don't know. The video's not really worth it. The audio though paints us like the actual story. So let's listen to.
I like that wording, by the way. Paints a slightly actual picture. That's funny.
I'm sorry that I did this to us, but I'm playing the first actual audio of a murder on the episode. So
no, I played a death. Never mind.
The window breaking. Now, just okay, this clip's. I'm not going to stop putting a pause for a second. This clip's like 5 minutes long. Okay, so like, just think about him sitting in his basement. He heard that, puts his book down, and now you're in that basement like him. It's kind of how I did this, and I got like freaked out a little bit. You hear the footsteps upstairs, just walking around it.
I assume that was him carefully making his way through the broken window.
Yeah.
Sorry, where is the tape recorder in relation to him?
Right beside him in the basement.
Right beside him in the basement. So shit, that's loud. Okay.
Well, this is from the like the actual case. So like I'm sure the cops fucked with the audio, like they turned it up so they could hear as much as they could. You know what I mean? Enhance. You're dead. For the record, that's him getting a tarp. That was already
That's
there.
what I thought it was.
Unrolling a tarp, putting the body on top of the tarp, and dragging it into another room.
That's what I thought it was. And he had the tarp ready.
Yep.
Was it sitting there,
Yep.
like at the bottom of the stairs, where he expected them to fall?
No. It was in the basement. It's his workshop area, so he
It
had
was
a tarp.
folded up. But he didn't lay one out and wait for someone to
No, he
step on
he
it,
wasn't that
fucking
psycho, no.
Wile E. Coyote style. Okay.
He's really worried about his carpet.
I figured that's what it was because he's autistic. So at this point, he thinks there's only one.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't know. It's a guy, too. His suspicion was it was a girl. So he's like really fucking freaked out, right? He just shot a man. I put it on pause for a second. I shot a man. Now they're in my basement. He said it. My heart was pounding, full of adrenaline. So he didn't mention that he got a fucking tarp out and dragged her into the next room and then went back and sat down waiting for the next person if there was one, right? So
yeah, no, he seemed really guilty when he went, "You're dead."
Now he's sitting there.
Okay.
Reloading his gun.
No, he's reading a book.
Yeah, you can hear him fucking with bullets.
Yeah, no, that's Alice in Wonderland. Sounds exactly like that.
Yeah.
Mad Hatter chapter.
Yeah. Cheshire Cat.
It might be the Cheshire Cat. We're all mad here. Queen of Hearts.
Yeah. You can hear him breathing heavy. He is having adrenaline is pumping through his veins for sure. 100%. That's not in question at all. You can hear him. Then that's where he sits down. And I was going to play the whole audio tape, but it's like half-hour long and it's really not worth it because literally there's, I don't know, another 5 minutes of just basic silence. And you can hear him farting around with this gun a little bit here and there. Nothing else, though. It's not really worth us listening to 5 or 6 more minutes of what's doing.
No, that's him switching to The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Yeah, and you can hear him it get louder and quieter as he's walking closer and further away from the whatever recording device he had. And then you start to hear more footsteps upstairs, and it goes silent again for another minute or so. So there's about 7 minutes I cut out of that. And then you hear this. Sorry, did you have a question? I kind of was cutting you off, I think.
Oh no, I was just telling you what was actually happening.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, so he's sitting there. He heard some more footsteps upstairs, and then this is what happens. This is a shorter clip.
Oh, sorry about that.
Oh my god.
You're dying. Itch.
That was fucking haunting.
Yeah, it's not even done. Dragging her body to put on top of Nick's.
Still cussing her out.
Older bitch again, yeah.
Based on how smug he sounds, I'm assuming it's Ashley.
Just wait, he's not done. Yeah, that last gunshot didn't seem like it needed to happen, did it? He mentions that in his interrogation as well. Let's see if I can find you that clip, because...
So I killed her too. Okay. Same way, except the first shot she tumbled, and I walked over to finish her off. And it had jammed out on the shoreline, which is why I had the 22 with me. And it jammed, trigger clicked, and she laughed at me. Ooh. I just pulled out the 22 and shot her. Okay. Then I sat down again, and I don't think I did anything else for an hour.
Yeah, he claims she laughed at him, which I didn't hear that. I heard her screaming in fucking terror. I didn't hear her laugh at you at all. You were being a fucking smarmy little dick too, and you're like, "Oh well, I'm sorry about that." When his gun didn't go off.
I feel like that was like literally he had this plan, and he like almost apologized, like because he felt like a bad host because there was a hitch in his plan. Like it was compulsive.
I would say it's kind of like that. I think it's more because he says later on that he doesn't like to see anyone suffer, and he saw her suffer on the ground, so that was a good, clean kill. He'll say it later in one of the things. He went over there to finish her. He
Sounded
felt bad.
like he shot her at least 5 times.
He shot her, I think, 5 times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he spends the night in the house with the dead bodies. You can hear him. The recorder's still going on throughout the evening, and I don't know if all this happens all at once or if the police put all this stuff, like condensed it down to like the audio that went into court, all these, because he's mumbling to himself. He's saying a whole bunch of shit to himself. I'm just going to play a bunch of the mumblings for you because it goes to a lot of this story, I believe.
Do I have to be in the dark still?
No.
Alexa, let there be light.
So
Thank you. That did help.
This is before, yeah, that's the second one's fucking haunted because I don't know if you could hear it that well, but like you can.
I could hear it.
You could hear him, like the girl open the door, and go, Nick, like she's looking for her. We'll talk about them in a bit, but Nick, and then you could hear her talking. Like it's awful. It's awful.
It is. It's haunting. It's haunting. She's apologizing. It's haunting because you can hear that he's just plugging bullets into her as she's saying, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry." It's glass.
So when he turns on the audio tape before any of the murders, you hear this, and I'm going to play this a couple times because, or maybe not this one, the next one, but listen to this. This is before he shoots anyone.
In your left eye.
In your left eye.
In your left eye. Just one more time for her.
In your left eye.
So that's before the shooting, and one of them does get a fucking shot right in the eye, left eye to begin with. So that's fucked up.
Which one?
The
Nick?
boy, Nicholas.
First, and he only got shot twice?
3 times.
First shot was in the left eye, or that was his finishing shot?
That's the finisher.
Yeah.
This is before the shooting too, okay? This is before any of the shooting happens.
Bruce, stop by tomorrow morning. No rush, but as soon as convenient. Can you do that? Yeah. Park to the north. 100 yards north of the corner. And walk in from the west. I realize I don't have an appointment, but I would like to see one of the lawyers here.
So yeah, he's rehearsing what he's going to say to his lawyer after he fucking kills these people. He decided he was killing these people way before they even came into his house. As soon as he heard that first door jiggle, as soon as he saw that car drive, he was killing someone. So here's a bunch of more mumblings from like after.
Oh, you're so wrong, Richard. You're so wrong. He killed all the dogs.
This is the first thing he says right after the murders.
Oh, after bitch, you mean?
Listen.
Of course, I'm safe now.
Of course, I'm safe now. So he's justifying it to himself, in my opinion. He's just like, okay, I should have done that. I'm safe now. Right? And then the next thing he says after that, I cut out some of these because like he mumbles for a lot. And like he just says the same shit over and over sometimes. So I'll just tell you when he's repeating himself. So this is after the murder now. So he said that before the murder, right? So he's still practicing his lawyer call. Now this is him. Okay, so if he started with justifying it to himself, and then he's practicing his lawyer call. Now he's moved into like, I hate these people.
Cute. I'm sure she thought she was a real pro.
So he's like taunting her when she's dead. He's looking at the body being like, oh, you're such a fucking pro. You're cute, huh? Then he goes back to like mumbling lawyer shit again.
I feel a little bit safer. Not totally safe. I'm still shaking a bit, but a little bit safer.
Sorry, safety and then lawyer again.
No rush, but, as convenient for you. I left my house at 11:30. They were both dead by 1.
Practicing a story.
I refuse to live in fear.
Practicing his like defense.
I felt like I was cleaning up a mess. Not like spilled food. Not like vomit. Not even like it. Not even like diarrhea. The worst mess possible.
Worse than diarrhea.
And I was stuck with it.
See, and he's like, you see what you did to me? Now I have to clean this mess up. Like he's blaming them for making him have to clean up I don't know if he means the mess of society too, because you'll see what he says in a bit. Like, I don't know if he means like the literal mess that's in front of him, or he's like cleaning up the streets like fucking Batman. You know what I mean? Like, I'm cleaning up the mess. No one's going to stop you. The cops won't stop you. I'll have to stop you.
Plus this whole bullshit he was doing earlier too. You gotta stop the infection
Yeah.
before it spreads, right?
I don't see them as human. I see them as social defense. This bitch was going to go through her life spoiling things for other people. Thieving, robbing, drug use.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know if he means clean up the whole mess of society, or if it's just like this mess specifically. I don't fucking know. The diarrhea itself, I don't know.
No, he said something like, I don't see the mess. He said something like he sees it as a mercy because
That's what
she
it was. It was
going
mercy. I
to
think you're right. I think
go
that's what he
through her
said. This is a
life.
mercy. I see it as a mercy.
It's all fun, cool, exciting, and highly profitable until somebody kills you.
Jesus Christ. There's only a couple more of these, but I wanted to show. So this, remember the one before the murder where he's like, at the end of the law, and this is after.
The gravel driveway is blocked. You have to go north to the next one north of that. Then park 100 yards north of the corner and walk in from the west.
So he's practicing how to get them to get to his house.
give the
Like,
cops
fuck.
directions. Holy shit.
All right, here's another one. This is okay, Byron.
Try to be a good citizen. Not cheat people. Be fair. That family raises a bad person like this. And because I try to be a decent person, they think I'm a pansy. I'm a sucker. They think I'm there for them to take advantage of. Is that the reward for being a good person?
So he's a victim again. This is him practicing his story again.
Then they take slice after slice out of me. $5,000. $5,000 slice. $10,000 slice. And if I gather enough evidence, they might be prosecuted. If they're prosecuted, it might go to court. If it goes to court, they might be found guilty. If they're found guilty, they might spend 6 months, 2 years in jail. And then they're out, and they need money worse than ever, and they're filled with revenge. I cannot live a life like that. I cannot have that chewing on me for the rest of my life.
Exactly that is going to be on you for the rest of your
I
life.
refuse to live with that level of fear in my life. I refuse to live with that level of fear in my life.
It's acting, though. That's what I think. I don't think that's real. I think that's like, this is what I'm going to say to the police. You know, this is, how do I say it the best way? You know?
It's just ironic how he said it.
And this is the last mumbling one I wanted to bring up.
And then they dump this mess on me.
Yeah, they did it. Perfect.
It's not a mess like spilled food. It's not a mess like
just
vomit.
gives you
It's not
diarrhea.
even a mess like diarrhea. It's far
God
worse.
damn it.
I didn't need to play the third diarrhea one. That was for us.
That was for us. We've earned that.
Oh, man. So that's a lot of intense audio. Like I said, I'm not sure if the mumblings were all over the next 24 hours because he's at his house sitting in there stewing over this for that much time. But yeah, there's like probably cut together for time's sake, honestly, because it's 14 minutes of it, like of him mumbling. And I didn't play 14 minutes. I played maybe 4 minutes of the mumbles.
Hey, I'm so glad, but like, how the fuck did he let this
He
tape
thought he
exist?
was helping. He didn't think he was in trouble.
No, you're kidding. He didn't think this would be
No, he thought he
incriminating?
was doing the right thing. So a lot of it sounds like he was making up his alibi, practicing what he's going to say to the cops, even before the shooting. So I showed you that. Around noon the next day, November 23rd, Bill's phone rings. Okay, it's Byron. Smith told Anderson that he thinks he solved the robbery mystery and asked him if he could call a lawyer and send him to his house. So as soon as Byron said that,
Didn't like his lawyer
as
script, I
soon as
guess.
Bill said that to Byron, or Byron said that to Bill, Bill was probably like, "Uh-oh." He knew exactly what was happening, I'm sure. I'm not sure if they go back and forth with the phone calls here. I don't know if there's a couple phone calls, but Bill can't get him a lawyer to go over to his house at the moment. It's a little town. I'm sure it's the day after Thanksgiving. I'm sure people are pretty busy, especially no context, right? Byron tells Bill to call the sheriff. Tell the sheriff to come over.
Either today or yesterday.
More specifically, I called my good friend Bill Anderson, who is a neighbor,
Okay.
and asked him to contact a lawyer. He wasn't able to. Apparently, they're all busy today. The offices are closed.
Okay.
Since he was not able to contact a lawyer, I asked him to contact the Morrison County Sheriff's Department next.
Okay. You asked him to, Bill Anderson?
I asked him to call you.
Okay.
I just want to, okay, cops go there, arrest him. I want you to know that this police interview that I'm playing is about an hour and a half after all this, from the point he was arrested until he's being questioned. Police don't have all the information yet at this point. I have all the information. I gave you a lot of information that they didn't have at the time. So they're just being polite and talking to him. Honestly, they were very good. The police officers were very good. We'll talk a lot more about them in a second. Let's just talk about the victims here. So this episode does involve children. I'm sorry. Okay. The two people Byron killed were kids. I know it's 2 episodes in a row. I'm sorry, everyone.
How kid were they?
17-year-old Nicholas Brady and his cousin, 18-year-old Hallie Clayfer. 17, 18 still kids. You're a kid till you're 25 in my books. You're a child.
I agree that there's a level of lowered accountability for things that you do before 25. And I genuinely feel that way. I think they would have smartened up eventually and they didn't deserve this.
Well, did you notice how I didn't say Ashley Williams? Nicholas Brady, no.
It wasn't Ashley.
Nicholas Brady and Ashley, or Haley Kiefer. I think it's Kiefer. Kifer.
Did they have any connection
No.
to Ashley at all?
So Haley's described as a pretty
What
good
a
athlete,
dick.
nice girl. She had a dark teenager side too. She was having a rough go with the drugs. I don't know what that means really. I don't know if she was into cocaine or just smoking weed, because like parents definitely, some people think weed is cocaine. You know what I mean? They're not. There's two different things that are going on there. She's only 17 or 18 years old. She already had 19 encounters with the police at this point. So I'm guessing it's probably meth or something. It's
Okay.
probably a little more strict drug. Some of them are for minor offenses like drug possession. Speeding tickets is called an encounter with police. But there's trespassing ones, and there's some burglary and theft in there as well. So she's had a pretty big criminal career for a young lady. I'm guessing mostly drug related, like stealing money for drugs, breaking into places for drugs.
I feel like it's probably not weed then.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm guessing
Probably
it's
pills,
not that, but
I guess.
it's America too, right? Like weed has more of a, it's like considered on the same level as fucking cocaine there. I don't know. Not.
No, I mean, if she's stealing money,
Yeah. Okay, I see what you mean.
it's probably pills.
Yeah, probably.
Probably she breaks into houses to look for pills first and then takes money.
That is because there was a lady lost a bunch of prescriptions a couple days before this murder, and they were caught in their car. They found a bunch of prescription bottles that weren't there. So like,
That's bougie drug use for you.
yes.
You should have gone with cheaper drugs, girl.
So yeah, the Nicholas was a junior at a different high school than Haley. He was actually Haley's cousin, and he worked at his dad's tree trimming business. Much after today's incident, it's found out in court that Nick was in fact the one who broke into Smith's house on October 27th in that prior break-in. One of the guns
That stole the guns.
one of the guns that was stolen had a very unique feature to it. I think it's the stock of the gun was broken and was taped all up, and it was found at another
Okay.
kid's house, and that kid said he got it from Nick. Byron even knew that the shotgun would be easy to find. He says it in the interrogation, and this is before they ever found the gun. So
Yeah.
Okay. Also, there was a shotgun. They stole my father's shotgun, one that he used for 30 years, 40 years of happy hunting.
Mm-hmm.
It is easily identifiable. It's a, my memory slipped here, Remington 50. One in the chamber, 4 in the stock. And the characteristic of it that's readily noticeable is that the wooden stock is broken. I had it taped together with gray duct tape. It should be showing up at some local pawn shop.
And Byron wasn't wrong. This is the guy. These guys were pattern. They were stealing around the house. Neither of these kids were perfect. I'm going to say it right off the bat, but they were kids. They were children, in my opinion.
This is so common in small towns, especially with teenagers, because there's nothing else to fucking
For
do.
sure. 100%. I live in a town like that, and I was like that as a kid too.
All the small towns that I moved around when I was a kid, living with like my uncle who taught in every summer I'd be in some different small town. Every summer, some teenager was doing a string of B&Es. Every single summer.
Yeah, I wasn't going that far. I made it sound like I was doing pills and breaking into people's houses and stealing guns. I wasn't that far. But I mean, I was smoking weed and doing boring, like definitely getting into drugs for no reason because there's nothing better to do, for sure.
There was another kid in your town that was breaking into
Oh, for
houses.
sure. I didn't get into the darker side of it, but I could have easily. It existed. It was around me for sure. You know? And I will say this about
This is so common. It would have stopped.
but here's the thing.
It would have worked itself out.
I will say this about the kids. They were tested for drugs and neither of them were high in the least that night. So they were out looking for drugs to get high, but in my opinion, that means that they weren't like super addicts. They were just kids out looking for some fucking drugs to have fun. Like if they were all addicts, they probably would have still had drugs in their system, in my opinion, because they'd be like coming down looking to get back up to where they should have been.
Yeah, this is something they were going to go to some fucking bonfire or some shit that night and they wanted to show up with pills.
And they broke in before and they got a good score. They got some guns and shit. Maybe this guy had some more stuff, right?
And if they hadn't done it Thanksgiving, he would have sat in the basement again Christmas Eve with all the lights off when kids are going around thinking nobody's home.
For sure.
He would have just kept doing it till he killed them.
Exactly. And they were out looking for a place to rob. Don't get me wrong. These kids weren't doing the right thing at all. They were being bad and they should have gotten in trouble.
Absolutely
for
not.
sure. Do they deserve to be executed in a basement? Not so much.
You could have shot them once. I promise you they'll never do it again. Just one shot to like the leg. I won't do it again. I promise.
Yeah, for sure. It comes up like, okay, so
Even just shot one of them in the leg. They'll never do it again. I promise.
yeah, not 2 hours later, they're in the interrogation room, spilling his guts, I would say. He starts out the interview like this, and I purposely skipped over this so you could hear, oh yeah, the bodies thing. Remember, he's like, there were bodies, so cool. And then this is
That's a good reason.
yeah, it's a good reason. Here's the other clip that I was like, I wouldn't do this. Don't ever do this, by the way, everyone. We'll talk about it in a second.
You have the right to talk to a lawyer for advice before we question you and to have him with you during questioning. Do you understand that?
I understand that, and I waive that considering the circumstances.
Okay.
Dude, you just
Considering the circumstances that I'm innocent.
yeah. Listen, dude, you just killed 2 people. I don't care if you think you're innocent or not. You never talk to the police. Fucking talk to your lawyer. Wait till a lawyer shows up because you're gonna say some shit you don't mean to say. And I'm gonna tell you right now, Byron said some shit he probably didn't think it was gonna get him in trouble at all because he thought he was in the right.
I don't know if anyone's ever actually looked into the percentages on this, but I guarantee you most of the people who were falsely convicted and are in prison that are innocent talk to the police without a lawyer.
Yeah, I would say it's
telling
probably a high 80s, if not in the 90s.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
That's the first mistake, man.
There's one point when he talks about killing Haley that I think you guys should hear. So remember he talked about his red button being ganged up on?
His sore button.
His red. He says red button because he says it again. He's got a red button. He's got one of his red buttons is being ganged up on. Well, let's listen to this.
He said sore spot. I'm telling you, he said sore.
So you shot, she came tumbling down the steps, and then you went to shoot again and the gun jammed, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what happened after that, after the gun jammed?
After the gun jammed, well, he fell with his head under the table. She fell immediately at the bottom of the steps. So you'll see 2 different patches of blood on the floor.
Okay.
And when the gun clicked, misfired, she laughed at me. And
When she was laughing at you, she was at the bottom of the steps on the floor?
it wasn't a very long laugh because she was already hurting. But, there was this smirk. "Ha!" And, okay, there was another red button I guess most people would have. If you're trying to shoot somebody and they laugh at you, you go again.
His second one is if people laugh at you while you're trying to shoot them, he'll go again. What the fuck? That's probably something you didn't want to say to the cops. You probably want a lawyer. Your lawyer would have stopped you from saying that for sure.
Yeah, definitely. No, I get it. He's working the whole I was a bullied child angle. I have trauma.
Yeah. So Yeah, so he's telling him that you told the cops that there's a bunch of recent break-ins. I've been wearing my gun around the house, and then he talks about the kill shot again.
Right.
Did you shoot her in the facial area or head area at all? Do you remember?
After she was on the tarp, she was still gasping.
Okay.
And as much as I hate someone, I don't believe they deserve pain. So I gave her a punching shot under the chin up into the cranium.
And then called her a bitch.
Was she still at the bottom of the stairwell when
No,
that happened?
that was over in the shop.
Oh, that was in the shop.
Yeah. I thought she was dead, and it turned out she wasn't.
Okay.
So I did a good, clean finishing shot.
Okay.
And she gave out the death twitch. First time I've ever seen it in a human, but it works the same in beaver and deer and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a good clean death shot.
Do you remember when we did? Shit, what was her name? Oh God, recently broken up with by third party, Shayna Hubers.
Oh yes,
you remember when we did
Yes.
her? And she was, here was Richard, and I want to shoot
yeah,
him.
I forgot about that. That's right. Yeah, we've heard about the
Like that.
yeah. Except for this guy's way too calm. Okay, I like.
Doesn't matter either way. Don't say
Yeah,
that.
for sure. Don't say shit to cops ever. Like that's you think you did the right thing, dude, but maybe nobody else did. Like you got to remember, you're not the only person in the world. Like just because you think it doesn't mean everybody else thinks it. So I think the detective was super polite. The whole interview, you can listen to it all. I'll put it in the show notes. It's an hour and a half. It's about an hour and a half, an hour and 15, and it's really well done. Like he does everything right. He does reads Miranda rights. And you could tell at certain points he's just so flabbergasted at Byron, and he asks him like some questions that are pretty good, I think, like this one.
My question, Byron, is why did you shoot again? She didn't have a weapon in her hand. She wasn't.
Actually, I don't know if she had a weapon in her hand until later.
Okay.
I wasn't looking at her hands.
But she was laying there, hurt. She wasn't threatening you.
Right? Like, why did you do it? Why didn't you go more? Why didn't you just stop, Byron? And then he asked this question.
And when you're sitting there afterwards.
Mm-hmm. So after both bodies are in that back office room that you call, what did you do? What did you go do?
That rest of that evening, the rest of that afternoon, that evening, all night long, and the next morning, I was afraid of an accomplice. Bill and I had already discussed this, that they probably had somebody in their house watching to see if I come driving home, to see if they see me, to see if anybody else is coming in. You know, hey, get out of there, there's somebody coming in. So Bill and I really thought that their parents were in on it.
Oh, okay.
This was pure speculation, but to us it seemed reasonable. And I was sitting there afraid that most likely the brass-plated bitch would nag Scott into it, and he would come over with a gun to see what had gone wrong. I was sitting there afraid.
Okay.
And by this noon, I had finally reached the point where nothing's happened. I'm not going to be afraid anymore. Let's get this over with.
Okay. So that's when you called Bill, right?
Yep.
And talked to Bill.
So he sat in his basement thinking that Ashley Williams' family is going to come in with guns and shoot him up for figuring out what the fuck's happening. That's what he's claiming. I'm going to sit in this basement. I'm protecting myself.
But this family is not in any way connected.
No,
to
they
these
don't
two
care
kids.
about him at all.
But he still thinks it's them.
Oh yeah, for sure. He doesn't know what Ashley Williams even really looks like because he just shot a chick and he still thinks it's Ashley Williams.
I wonder if he has that thing that Chris Chan has,
Fucked upness.
where he can't recognize faces. No, that thing where he
Aphasia or
can't
whatever?
recognize
Aphasia, is that what
faces.
that's called.
It's something like that. He's got that thing where all
Every
like
face just looks
they don't
yeah.
even need to look alike for him to see them as the same person. Maybe, like I said, if he's on the spectrum, it's very common for people on the spectrum to have that. Also, this whole Bill thing that he's talking about, how like him and Bill discuss this at length, et cetera, et cetera. I'm wondering, because you know, he's a man of a certain generation. He's alone. He doesn't have any kids, and he's really close with this guy named Bill and like nobody else. I'm wondering if this is like him and Bill are shooting the shit, talking about how if they ever are home when this happens, they're gonna fucking kill him, and this is how they're gonna do it, and he did this to impress Bill because he loves him.
You know what? It wouldn't shock me like at all. Bill is one of his biggest supporters. We'll talk about Bill a little bit later. Bill is like,
Oh my God, Bill loves him too.
Bill's a lot of people in that neighborhood think Byron's a good guy. Really do. He's always helpful with the scouts, always out helping out everyone he could, give his shirt off his back unless you come take the shirt off his back, and then he's going to shoot you for taking the shirt off his back, but he'll give it to you if you ask. You know what I mean?
This is a Bernie TD situation, except he didn't kill an old bitch.
Yeah, no, he just killed a child. 2 children.
2 children.
So
Yeah,
another good question that the detective asks is, I think this is the last clip of today, but there could be some more.
I have to ask, Byron, after the shooting and it's done, why didn't you call law enforcement to report what happened?
For the first couple hours, I
Yeah,
was just
the
shaking.
accomplice would leave.
Hey, listen to this.
And I gradually shifted into worrying about another accomplice. There'd already been 2 who knew that both the brass-plated bitch and her husband were both watching. As far as I knew, the whole
What the
family
fuck?
was in on it. Bill and I thought the whole family was in on it. And I was pretty much afraid to do anything. An hour later, I had this screwball thought that seems sort of irrational now, but just because my Thanksgiving's screwed up, I don't need to screw up yours.
Okay. Is that kind of why you didn't call law enforcement?
That was a part of it. And I was also sitting
Oh,
there
they'll
thinking,
still be
it's
dead
all over.
tomorrow.
It's
You
not
enjoy
gonna
your
change. I
Thanksgiving.
can wait till tomorrow
It's
in the
literally-
daylight. I might be thinking more clearly.
I love the detective. Like, okay. He just doesn't know what to say to this fucking guy. He didn't call authorities because he didn't want to ruin somebody else's Thanksgiving. Claims he's also in shock. Byron's kind of there's also points in this interview where Byron's being a dickhead.
Like calling her the bronze-plated
Yeah,
bitch.
those are parts for sure. But here's like unnecessarily, the cop asks like a very innocuous question that you need to ask. It has nothing to really do with anything, but like, listen.
What was she wearing? Do you recall what she was
Oh,
wearing?
yeah.
What was she wearing?
That was memorable. Tight black sweatshirt that said hard candy. When I saw that, I said, yeah, you're hard. And she is well known throughout the community as a hard case.
Okay.
Vandalism in Belle Prairie.
He
Park,
thinks
et cetera,
Ashley.
et cetera.
So yeah, like he didn't have to even like, oh, you're hard. Like he just wanted to be like, I'm tough for shooting this lady, right? Like, okay.
This
Child.
child
I
is
gotta get that.
basically a
Yes,
child.
So a couple days after the police interview, Byron is charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder. Well, we're gonna see it changes for sure. It gets upgraded
Yeah, I figure after they listen to
Yeah.
the tape recording, that's gonna change.
for sure.
The tarps, I think, make that pretty first degree.
Oh, the unscrewing your light bulbs, like moving your truck out of the way. There's so many things.
I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt for everything else, but not the tarps. Not the tarps, all right? If your carpet was ruined, I might be on your side.
So yeah, there's law in Minnesota. There's Castle Doctrine laws in Minnesota.
Yeah.
That you can defend your house with force, but there's limits to that.
Mhm.
If this was Texas, this happened in, they probably would have been like, I'm stealing RJ's joke. He said, "Oh, your spacing's off." Like they probably would have been like, got him in trouble for not shooting better. But this is Minnesota, so Minnesota statute.
I assume the way RJ told it was funny.
Yeah, it was actually good. Minnesota statute 609.06 authorizes use of reasonable force upon or toward the person of other without the other's consent. I read that completely wrong. So Minnesota statute
Consent.
609.
I'm gonna shoot you. No, you're not allowed to do that. Fuck.
Okay, that's if someone breaks in your house. So if someone breaks in your house, the use of reasonable force upon or toward the person of another without the other consent. So you can hit them, you can do whatever you want. The intentional taking of a life of another is not authorized by 60906 except when necessary in resisting or preventing an offense which the actor reasonably believes exposes the actor or another to great bodily harm or death, or preventing the commission of a felony in the actor's place of abode. So once they're not a threat anymore, you can't just keep shooting. And he clearly didn't know the law on this because he literally says this.
I was right. And I just pulled it out, and yes, I fired more shots than I needed to.
He literally says I shot more shots than I needed to. The sheriff just goes out and to the press conference and says that you're allowed to defend your house, but what Mr. Smith wasn't doing that at all. He went too far. So on April 13th, 2013, grand jury indicts him on upgraded charges of 2 counts of first-degree murder after they hear about him taking the light bulbs out, sitting in the basement with a gun, not calling the police until the next day, parking his car down the street to bait the robbers into his trap, and mocking her as she was dying. The prosecutors asked for a $2 million bail, which was denied by the judge.
On what grounds?
The nature of the crime, because they're still trying to figure out if it's a home defense, and if it is a home defense, this guy shouldn't be in jail for longer than it is. So they give him a $50,000 bail, which that's $5,000. Like, that's not hard to scrounge together. So he's out. There were conditions to his bail, though. He had to give up his passports. This guy is a well-traveled world man, so he does have passports and shit like that. He'd be able to skip the country. So there was that. Yeah, I'm not sure where he went, but he was out until the trial, and then the trial started on April 21st, so about a week later, a year and a week later, on 2014, April 21st, 2014.
Did Bill bail him out?
I'm guessing it's Bill, or he did it to himself. He's probably got a lot of money. It's $5,000. It's not like he's a 64-year-old man. He could probably scrounge that together easy. Live by himself.
Well, yeah, but he can't do it himself from prison.
Well, I'm sure, yeah, Bill probably went and got the cash for him, yeah, for sure. I thought you meant did Bill pay for it. I'm sure he paid for himself, but yeah, I'm sure.
No, I'm just wondering who actually went and bonded him.
Could be his lawyer. You know, he got a lawyer by this time, I'm sure. So the prosecution in trial plays like all the audio and goes, see? Like, that's basically their case. And the defense was what you think. His house, his castle, they broke in, they got what they deserved. The trial lasts 8 days. And after only 3 hours of deliberation, the jury convicts him of 2 counts of first-degree murder.
Good.
After the trial, the jury said that the audio of both the robbery and murder and the police interrogation afterwards made it an easy choice. And the only reason it took 3 hours for them to deliberate was because one juror wanted to be very meticulous and listen to all the audio one more time. So this is about an hour and a half of audio, and then they could have been out of there a lot faster. Yeah, I played you most of the murder tape and the interrogation. Like I said, I'll clip it if you guys want to listen to the whole thing. Smith was sentenced that very day, which I found was interesting, to the mandatory sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. And as you can imagine, this verdict was very controversial. One side of the political aisle was like, wicked, go to jail, you executing piece of shit. The other side was like, wait, why is this guy going to jail? He did nothing wrong. It's his house. You break into his house, you're going to get shot. So clearly I have a bias on this, and I don't think it's a bias. I think it's like very common sense that that's not okay. But I mean, there were people defending him still to this day. I was going to ask you what you think, but obviously I know your answer. You think this is fucking murder in the first degree times 2. No problem. I don't think there's anybody that can defend this.
That's exactly it. I don't disagree that people... I genuinely think if you are the victim of a home invasion, regardless of why they're there, if you are the victim of a home invasion, I don't think that you should ever face any kind of consequences if you kill the person that invaded your home. I really don't. Like, even within that reasonable force bullshit, I know that when you're scared and alone and all you want is for them not to get back up, I think that's reasonable if you empty your fucking gun into them. I really do. But not this. Like I said, if they didn't show up on Thanksgiving, he would have done the same thing on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve and any day where people think that people aren't home and they break into people's houses. He would have done it until he killed them. He would not have stopped until he killed them.
For sure. And he would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for the audio tapes. Literally.
Yeah, he really fucking shot himself in the foot with that one, didn't he?
Because the cops would have written it up nicely because he's getting broken into, but he gave all the evidence. The way he probably shouldn't have said any of the stuff without the interrogation and the audio. He could have just been like, they broke into my house. I don't know what happened. I lost control. I emptied my clip, and the cops would have given the benefit of the doubt on that. I swear to God. But
I don't know. He used 2 different guns. I feel like
that's true.
I don't know. I feel like if they can say that the first bullet from the first gun, she definitely would have been on the ground, then they would know just from the fact that there's more bullets.
Both
that it was
Haley and
overkill.
Nick's first shots are like at the waist level, so they're not even down the stairs. They can't even see him. So like that would have been enough. He could have just shot them. They would have fallen down the stairs, being like, and call the cops.
If those were gut shots, they're not
No,
getting
it's
back
in the
up.
hip. They're not even in the stomach. Like getting.
No, not even the
No,
waist.
like yeah,
the
like
hip.
the hips, like
Lower.
lower than the stomach. Yeah,
Practically shot him in the dick. That's
you
not nice.
you could have just called the cops after shot one. That would have ended the whole thing, and you would have been okay. That's what I think.
Or you could have not. You could have taken precautions to make it seem like you're home when you're not, instead of the opposite.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. Lying in wait and
Put
waiting for
fucking
someone to.
Michael Jordan on a train set.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, there's both sides to that. I'm with you too. If I'm in my house and my family's being threatened, I'm killing the person. I don't care if I can get it. Like, but if they're done, like this is different. You're right. This is totally different than just defending your house. The house was defended. I would have been able to drag them into another room and like heard them gurgling and shoot them in the fucking head and go like, good clean shot. I would have called the cops by then. You know what I mean? Like that's too far. Way too far.
Oh, exactly. You'd step over their body and call the cops immediately as soon as you know they're not getting
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Easy peasy. No, that's even like I said, I'm pretty sure there is something wrong with him. Like I think he's some kind of mentally not right, some kind of neurodivergent. But I already said it. That's what it is to me. If he didn't kill them that day, he would have killed them. He was on a mission to kill them.
For sure.
And he would have kept doing
For
it.
sure. He was waiting. Like I said, he was ready. Like he wanted it to happen. He made it happen, honestly. He made it happen.
He did.
Like it didn't even have to happen that day. If he would have been parked in his driveway, no one would have stopped at his house probably.
Yeah, no, that's fucked up, and he deserves to be in prison for the rest of his life, and the people who are supporting him are crazy.
Well, he appealed his conviction.
Oh, I don't like where this is going at all.
One of the gripes he had with wasn't only the Castle Doctrine thing, that was one of them. He was pissed that he wasn't allowed to enter into evidence that the two teenagers had engaged in other illegal activities in the past.
So what? Unless they, sorry, just from my perspective, unless they'd actually broken into someone's home and harmed them in the past, I don't see how that matters at all.
He's trying to say that they broke in, they stole my gun. It's them keep breaking in. They're never going to stop breaking. He's trying to show pattern of this, but he was, according, like if a jury just hears this, you think some kids broke into a house one time. He's trying to show that there's a pattern. That's what his whole thing was. Sorry, man. What's that called? Habeas corpus or whatever the fuck that is. What's the fucking thing where you can't say, who cares how the other crimes they have? You can't bring them up unless it's relevant to this crime. And he was trying to make it relevant, but it really isn't. It's not relevant to him shooting them and killing them. You know what I mean? Like 2016, this case was heard by both the Minnesota and federal Supreme Court. His conviction's upheld. I tricked you. It was upheld. He's going to die behind bars, Celeste. Yay.
Could you imagine if they had overturned it? Could you imagine?
Oh, it's such a crazy story. Like this could have been national news if they did that. We'd all be hearing about. We'd all be outraged.
Absolutely.
We'd all be outraged. Because like that murder tape is pretty fucking clear that is a murder tape. It's not a self-defense tape. Like
I can't believe that he gave that to them.
yeah, it's wild.
I cannot believe that he did that.
Yeah, and then you're dying. That's such a creepy part. You're dying. Oh.
Yeah, that was fucked up. It was fucked up on both. When he walks up to the fucking guy and he's like, "You're dead."
Yeah, you're dead.
And then he does the same thing to the girl.
Yeah.
That was haunting. That was actually haunting. He's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry about that."
Yeah, oh yeah.
He gets his other
yeah,
gun.
I'm sorry about that.
Like, excuse my faux pas. Let me just grab my hair.
But it was kind of shitty the way he said it too. It's like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'll play it one more time so you can hear it.
When you played it the first time, I genuinely thought when he was like, "Oh, sorry about that," she was like, he didn't hit her. And so I thought he was going to be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know who was here. I was scared. I'm giving you an opportunity to back off." I thought maybe because he didn't actually hit her and she had a chance to run, he was trying to be like, "I'm really sorry about that. I was
just
scared."
trying to like, oops, I didn't mean to shoot you. I'm done. You can stop. Yeah, no.
Yes, I thought that's what he was doing when he said, "I'm sorry about that." I thought he was trying to like get her to let her guard down and not run away. But she was already on the fucking floor.
Oh, sorry about that.
Like it jams.
See, it's so shitty the way he says it. Oh, I'm sorry about that. It's so sarcastic. It's like fucking. Oh, I don't like that guy. I'm glad he's in jail.
Sorry about that.
I'm glad he's in jail. I'm glad that's the end of that.
That's so fucked up.
Castle Doctrine is a thing, and I agree with it to a point, but not that. This isn't Castle Doctrine. This is premeditated. I was going to murder for the next 10 months if I could.
I genuinely hope somebody listens to this that does absolutely think that he should be free, and they explain their entire line of thinking to me, because I don't get it.
Well, there's Facebook groups that are like, Byron Smith's a hero.
For what? For killing a couple of kids?
For defending himself.
He didn't defend himself. He defended his shit.
I'm going to look up that Facebook group now because I didn't have the balls. Like,
he defended his $5,000 slice, $10,000 slice, $15,000 slice.
Yeah, I highly suggest if anyone's interested in like just to listen to the mumblings after in the murder tape, because like there's so much of it. I couldn't keep it all. It's like lots, but there's so much of it where you can see.
How many times does he say diarrhea?
I think 3. All 3 times I played it because I had to.
That's 3 times too many.
But yeah, that's the episode.
It's not food. It's not vomit. It's not even the worst of the worst diarrhea. It's the biggest mess ever. And it's all your fault.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Unethical Podcast. If you're not in the Facebook group, stop being such a silly goose and come find us at Unethical, the official Unethical Podcast group. If you find you just can't handle the anticipation until the next episode, then it's a great time to join our Patreon, where we have a ton of extra unethical content, and of course, our brother podcast, Private Dicks. And in case you didn't hear the good news, Private Dicks is now Public Dicks. Every 2 weeks, an episode of Season 1 will drop wherever you eat your podcasts, and our lucky Patreon patrons are literally living in the future, listening to new episodes from Season 2. On the fence about it? Have a listen to the trailer and see what you think. If you've got a case, big or small, give the Private Dicks a call. And yes, the phone number is real. Enjoy!
Have you got a mystery that needs solving?
Where is Amelia Earhart?
We know.
Who the hell was DB Cooper?
Ah, easy.
Bermuda Triangle?
Probably solve that one next.
Here at Private Dicks, we guarantee a mystery solved every episode.
That's with a capital G.
Every second Friday, the Private Dicks take a client, record their session, and solve the world's greatest mysteries.
One by one.
Private Dicks solve them, no problem. God, I love just crushing mysteries. Search up Private Dicks on your favorite podcatcher and you can solve a mystery too.
The mystery of what's your favorite podcast?
It's Private Dicks. Another one solved.
If you have a mystery to be solved, call 1-855-PRVT-DIX. That's 1-855-PRIVATE-DICKS.
Call 1-855-PRIVATE-DICKS and leave us the rundown of the case. Maybe the Dicks will solve it.
855 Private Dicks. I'm straight when it comes to humans, but fucking gay from old people.